Hello again and welcome to spring. Your question for the week. Thinking back to a recent moment of choice, what did you want? What did you really want? And what does that tell you about your deepest desires? We've been thinking about how we can better understand ourselves using the model of Ignatius of Loyola's Examen. Daily reflections on moments of choice and, in those moments, what it meant to be free or unfree. We've started by thinking about freedom as the state of being energised, optimistic, in emotional equilibrium, and operating out of a strong sense of personal autonomy or efficacy. To be unfree is to be more compelled, driven, or deflated. We thought about how we accumulate attitudes and automatic responses to situations that then become like blockages to freedom, manifested through constraining thoughts. We looked at some examples and how we can replace those thoughts with more liberating ones. And last time we explored some ancient and modern psychology, which gives perspectives on how the mind works and how the tension between our decisions, being more free or unfree, can be understood through different metaphors. Are our minds more like someone trying to control a two-horse chariot, driving a buggy with a critical parent in the back, or like riding an elephant? Ignatius himself adds another dimension to this reflective process. So this week I'd like to look at his approach to the daily examen and what we can learn from it, whether or not we happen to share his Christian faith. In common with other approaches we've been considering, Ignatius also sought to review his decisions using an objective reflective process. In what he described as meditation, he reviewed seminal moments of his day, asking himself the question, what did Christ make of what I was doing in that moment? You may yourself be aware of similar approaches where people reflect on their decisions by asking themselves what a mentor or character they respect would have thought or done in any given moment. But Ignatius went further in his meditations, asking not just what Jesus would have made of it all, but what he did make of it. For Ignatius, Jesus was more than a memory or a great example. He was a living presence. So for Ignatius and many who follow his ideas, the examen is a mystical as well as a psychological experience. But my main focus today is another idea of Ignatius that takes us into new territory. He also applied a technique which he called the discernment of spirits, or just discernment for short, an approach that takes the focus off our thoughts and onto our desires. In any given moment, there are things that we want, such as outcomes we want to see or experiences we want to have. But Ignatius was interested in something even deeper than this. What deeper sense of ourself could we discover by engaging with these in-the-moment desires to discover our deepest and most fundamental desires? In Ignatian thought, human beings are all created by God with certain positive or noble desires built in, desires which, if followed successfully, will lead us to a flourishing and purposeful life. These fundamental desires are what author Margaret Silf, in her book Landmarks, describes as the God seed. Our fundamental desires are a place of creativity and growth, which, like a seed, can be cultivated to bear behavioural fruit of various kinds. The process of cultivation is found in our daily choices, which can alert us to three possibilities. We might be following our deepest desires positively or successfully, or we might be misapplying them. Or we might be allowing other desires to dilute them. Let me give you a common example of a thoroughly healthy desire but applied in a thoroughly unhealthy way. Let's imagine that you're someone who, in a working environment, likes people around you to be happy. You want your colleagues, managers and subordinates to be relaxed, at ease and to enjoy their every moment at work. But when you see an example of an individual behaving poorly, either through poor performance or bad behaviour, you're reluctant to address this because that would lead to a situation in which the individual concerned would be in danger of being made to feel uncomfortable. The way this desire for harmony then becomes to be misapplied is that when the behaviours you don't address start to cause tension and resentment amongst colleagues, they eventually lead to the very breakdown of cordial relations that you were so keen to maintain. Here a noble desire misapplied becomes self-defeating. When you see an example of poor performance and behaviour, in that moment you don't address it because your desire is to keep the peace. But you are in fact failing to fulfil your deeper desire of promoting a peaceful, harmonious and convivial relational environment. And that awareness of what you really want at a deeper level will be a powerful motivator to a different kind of behaviour. So let's follow this through to the third possibility. Whilst you can have a noble desire misapplied, you can also have a noble desire diluted or even polluted by an ignoble desire. I may address issues of poor performance and behaviour in others because I want to promote a cordial working environment, or I may be motivated by spite, jealousy, because I get a kick out of controlling people. I want a peaceful and harmonious working environment, but more than that, and here I exaggerate to make the point, my deeper desire is that I want people to be my servants. Well, if I get to this point, I'm starting to lose sight of the core noble desire that will see me growing into my best possible potential self. Do I still want to be the person that my deepest noble desire would allow me to grow into, or have I decided that I want to be someone else? Now, as I said at the beginning of these reflections, it's the regular process of reflection that will help us to build up this deeper picture of self-knowledge. So again, in the coming week, why not explore your moments of decision using this approach and these insights from Ignatius? In those moments, ask yourself what you desired. What is it that you really desired? And what does that say about your deepest and most noble desires? Think about those moments when you were unfree. What caused your most noble desires to be misapplied, diluted, or even polluted by something unhealthy? What can you do to minimise these influences in future? And in your moments of freedom, what was it that contributed to you growing those desires in a consistent and healthy way? And what else do you need to cultivate in yourself to strengthen your resolve and to enhance your skill in living a flourishing life, lived out of your deepest and most noble desires? Thank you for listening.